You gotta have a drink with you. You don't open it up. There it is. Good. Oh, going with the thin can. Okay. Well, cheers, brother.
Crocs.
I like it. I'm rocking a Sandvay. Welcome everybody. Pour it on ice. This is Cold Ones Conversations. You are joined by two of the greatest hosts in podcast history. The show that doesn't fact check, but the show that wins you money with the greatest opinions. Shout out LaSalle. Shout out.
We're winning a state championship this weekend. All right. My freshman
Hold it
team,
down.
baby. We're winning a state chip. We're
You guys
winning
are.
it.
You guys got the championship this weekend.
Yeah, state
All
chip
right,
for my freshman
we'll
squad.
get into that later. Let's
Yeah, well, I'll
let's
break
do
it
some
down. I'll give you the
introductions.
scouting report for
Yeah,
betting wise. All right.
let's do introductions. Let's open. We were debating an open. Welcome everyone. You know me by many names: Harold Hoops, Harry Heaps, Hollywood Hair. I go by all, but I'm known by none. I'm glad to be here, and I'm joined by my better half,
Known by none is
Brendan,
correct.
the Body Petrilli. Trilly, how you doing today?
Doing well, dude. Doing well. Having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's good to be back. I mean, I was in a little bit of a sports depression for a half a minute there this past weekend. I was just sported out. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Fightins were struggling. The Sixers collapsed. We'll get into it. I don't know. Doc Rivers is fired. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'll give you a take in a little bit here that I've been sitting on and
Both
waiting
of
for
us.
that. But yeah,
Both of our coaches are gone, dude.
Yeah, but your sons. Nobody cares.
Yeah, except they've been going farther. That's all I'm saying. All right, go ahead. Break down LaSalle.
What?
You talk all this shit for a guy that hasn't seen a fucking NBA title, and I don't know how long. That's all I'm gonna say. At least we
since
fucking
01.
made it.
Since 01.
Huh? Yeah, since 0 fucking 1.
Yeah.
And you lost. Now break down LaSalle.
Dude, we got a squad. Absolute squad. My only fear is we've been throwing a lot of new stuff out there, but these kids, they've been picking it up. They've been picking it up well because the team we're going up against, fuck them, number one, Doylestown.
Obviously.
They're the heavy favorite. They beat us up early in the year, you know, when it was still freezing cold out and raining and all that other bullshit when you get in PA weather. And our kids, they've had that chip on their shoulder this whole year. We've come out, we've responded, we've dominated. We played a bigger team this past weekend in Monk Bucks or whatever like that. They had a couple big kids. I said, we have all the talent in the world. We just need it right here. We need it right here. We need the heart. We need that dog in us. And that's what the kids did. They came out, they answered. We had the big boys moving. We were able to move it wide, and that's what we're gonna have to do this weekend. I could see the fellas running all over this team. Like I expect the state championship this weekend. I expect it.
I mean, for the listening audience, he was pointing to the hot. He's pointing to the hot. He's talking about the hot. You got to have hot out there. Hot. What I mean, obviously we don't give away the game plan. What do you feel? What's led this team to success? The back player or the forward?
I mean both. Honestly, we got a really solid forward pack, but our backs are very skilled. And when our forwards take care of business, they clean the rucks up. And the reason we struggled so mightily the first time against them early in the year in a friendly was, you know, we just didn't have that dog. We were getting blown up. They were stealing the ball on us, and we couldn't get the ball to our backs. So we've worked heavily on, you know, quick ball out the back. Nice. Try to make sure like our forwards know we just got to get around. We got to get around the field. We got to clean it up, keep it simple, and get the ball to our skill positions. Maybe we're gonna move a forward or two out into the back line to help out and attack a little bit. So we'll have to stay tuned.
You got anybody with a nose for the ball like Kevin Bows? I mean, nobody had a nose for the ball in a ruck like Kevin Bows.
Not a counter like that, but I got some dogs that are very skilled on this squad. Yeah, I know they listen to the pod, so I'm not going to shout them out because I don't want their heads getting too big. But
no, you can't.
We got some dogs. We got some dogs on this team.
Well, dude, we also got to announce. I mean, we're on a rugby conversation. We got to give it a clap. Your brother's going D1, dude.
Yeah, he is.
You got family going D1. We got to give a shout. Listen, they
should be playing.
They should be playing this weekend too. To the forefront. We bring athletes to the forefront. Okay, we might not have helped produce them. I'm gonna not. Hey, parents, I'm about to take it from PG to R. We might not have brought these athletes from our cock, but we do help produce them in some way or another. Now back to PG. Okay, shout out your brother though, but this is not what people are here for. They're not here to hear the local talk. They're here for the national radio. So let's get into it, dude. Let's open up with some NBA talk. We're Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals. We're not doing coach talk yet. We're not doing Suns talk. We're not doing Doc Rivers talk. We're talking first Eastern Conference Finals. Big matchup here, Boston, Miami. Okay. Miami is this dog in the East that I think, much like Philly, many people did not expect to make it to where they would be considered in a championship. I think that actually more people consider that Philly would be more of a viable option. Obviously, people more consider that Philly would be a more viable option than Miami, right? And Miami has just had absolute dogs led by Jimmy Buckets, right? Kyle Lowry, who was kind of a no-show for really all last season and most of this, has kind of come alive, right? They've got great, I can't name 5 players on that team outside of those 2 guys, but their passing is kind of tremendous. And I don't know, they get great buckets too. They go to the line. They don't dominate on big play, but I kind of see them. Their biggest help in basketball is their defense and the way that they get into another team's head. And that is something that we've seen. Boston is obviously mentally weak in. Boston is a mentally weak team. They don't have it. Jason is not consistent. He shows up when he's needed, but never when it's borderline, we need you. It's either, the foot's on our throat and we got to deliver, or he's a no-show. And Miami's going to bring it to them game in and game out. I definitely think this goes for 7. I think it's going to be a very entertaining Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think it's going to be anything like the entertainment that's going to come out of the Western Conference Finals, but we're not talking about that yet. But give me your take on these 2 teams, man. I mean, obviously, I know it's bittersweet. You're talking about one team that consistently beats you guys, beats that ass, owns that ass. You guys eat their ass, and I gotta just call it out as. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm just laying it out there.
And then the other team's got our guy. They got our guy,
right.
Jimmy Butler.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
right.
am I
it's
happy?
Hard.
Am I happy that Jimmy Butler's winning for another team and beating the Celtics when he could have been on the Sixers with Joel and been able to get us over that hump? But yeah, it sucks. It sucks, man. And is it nice to see Boston lose because they're not that great of a basketball team, but they absolutely took it to the Sixers because the Sixers aren't that great of a basketball team that have absolutely no heart. But we're not talking about the Sixers at this very moment.
Right.
It stinks. It absolutely stinks because the Celtics aren't very good. Boston got over the hump of taking out the Bucks in the first round that were very flawed, with Giannis being hurt a little bit after game 1. So that whole series was kind of up in flux after that. And Jimmy Butler was able to get you a couple wins and maybe one of the biggest all-time collapses of all time, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and that team being the number 1 seed of all the NBA and losing to an 8 seed. But this is giving them some credence that this Miami team is better than people give them. Obviously, they're a well-coached basketball team. They have been for years. Eric Spoelstra, he's given the Sixers and the whole league fits, right? Where he kind of was the guy that at the beginning of his career that you thought the big 3 in Miami and D-Wade, LeBron, and Bosh, they just carried him, right? He was just a talking head. They could boss him around. Nah, Eric Spoelstra knows what he's doing. He's taken the page out of the Pat Riley book there, and it's heat culture. You thought heat culture was dead. They should have been dead, where they lost a play-in game. Yeah, they were able to bounce back, and all of a sudden they're a couple wins away, 3 wins away from getting to the NBA Finals. With Tyler Hero being out in the first game, breaking a hand, a couple other guys going down, Duncan Robinson finally stepping up a little bit, Kevin Love still getting a couple buckets a game for you.
With that salt and pepper, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, name another guy that's
winning.
rock. Yeah, I don't get, dude. It doesn't. What doesn't make sense is I feel like something maybe, and tell me if I'm sounding stupid here, but I'm gonna kind of just speak and not think. Okay, something happened in that last NBA championship with the Warriors versus Boston, where it's like the 3-ball, it lost its pop. If that makes sense. It was like these 2 juggernauts that only shoot threes got together, went for 6 games, delivered an insane product of no defense, all offense, go, 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 go. We got to defend. We got to defend on the other arc. We got to defend, right? Because guys are chucking up balls so much. And now you've got two teams that are basically only mid-range teams, mid-range game teams, and heavily rely on defense in the Lakers and Miami, who in 2020 in the bubble were both more three-pointed style teams, right, that went against each other, right? Miami definitely had more three-point dogs on that team than they do today. So did the Lakers, arguably, right? And they're in the championships for their conferences right now in a league that's so-called is all about the three. Don't get me wrong, I'm not denying that. It's a three-ball kind of league. But I feel like last year's finals had some effect where something changed. It was like that the three shot lost its pop. You put these two teams together that could only do that, and now teams that are actually decently good at defense and don't look good during the regular season, but then can get it going in the playoffs, are now kind of on a roll. And it's like they're the teams that people can't figure out. Everybody has figured out, okay, Boston isn't mentally tough. You've got to stop their key guys. They won't be able to get it done. The Warriors, if you lock down Curry, Clay can't be expected to keep it up, and Draymond's just going to stomp on you. If you can stop yourself from getting hurt from his big fat fucking feet, you'll be good, right? Denver, it's like, what's their identity? Jokic, right? If you could contain him, I think the Lakers win that. Is what I'm saying making sense, or do I sound like I'm just making a nonsense point?
No, I think what you're missing your point though.
Okay.
That I'm gonna help you out here. All right.
Okay.
You're right a little bit about the three ball, but the biggest point was that last one. It was Curry, Thompson, Draymond. It was Tatum, Brown, right? Superstars, star players.
Right.
Now you got teams like Jimmy Butler with Strus, with Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love. You got LeBron, who's kind of taking a back seat. He's not that number one guy on that team anymore, right?
Big time.
You got Hashimura, you got other guys, all Vanderbilt on this team. You got the Nuggets with Jokic, right? But then afterwards, it's all about the guys behind the superstars. It's the Brogdons, it's the Marcus Smarts. The NBA has gone away from that three-man big three to having a tandem of two, and then having really good role players behind those two players, where it was a big three league for the past, I don't know, decade. Now you're seeing have two guys. You have, you have Tatum, you got Brown, you got Jimmy Buckets, and I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, Bam, I guess, is your number two there, right? You got Jokic, and you got Murray. You got LeBron, you got AD. And then after that, you fill in guys, role players around them, and you've seen the role players come up huge for these teams. The depth of these teams have been a huge impact, where teams like the Sixers, teams like, the Suns, they didn't have the depth. They had the superstar power, the MVP power, but when you came in and you had that second bench unit come in, it was a crap show, and they would just give up big leads. They would give up runs, and the teams like Boston, the Nuggets, the Lakers, Heat have taken advantage with their depth, where the drop-off isn't as tremendous, So I think that's where the NBA has kind of gone from that superstar, big three, we're going to carry two guys, and then that bench.
And honestly, the biggest, the team that embodies that point that we just made is the Suns. All superstars, not delivering really outside of Devin Booker, getting beat by role playing teams.
Yeah.
Denver's got stars, but they're a role playing team compared to Chris Paul, Ayton, D Book, and KD.
Yeah.
And they lost. Right? You had one guy
because they traded all their depth away.
Because they traded all
Kevin Durant.
Away. Right.
And we're seeing in the NBA, these playoffs, that it takes more than just 2 or 3 superstars to win it. You need to have that 6th, 7th, 8th man come off the bench, make a 3-pointer, that dagger where they haven't done jack all game. They get that offensive rebound and give Jason Tatum another shot, and then bang, right in your heart. Like that's been the biggest difference, is having those role players off the bench that aren't tremendous, but they have that dog in them.
Tremendous. By the way, I put the pen in the hat for a reason. Leave in the comments if you know who pen is for. But Matt Bahu. I just want to go on record
He's
by
on the
saying
Bird
one
staff
thing.
now, isn't he? I'm pretty sure.
I know, and that's pretty low. He went from being, I mean, what a fuck up.
He's like a
his
special
career is right
assistant
now.
now for the
Yeah,
Eagles or
I
something
mean,
like that.
Geez Louise. Point being is, dude, I just want to go on record and saying one thing. If the Suns get Harden, they will never win an NBA title while Devin Booker is with him, ever. I just want to say that as a diehard Suns fan.
Why?
If we get James Harden, we will never win an NBA championship ever with that tandem. If you put Kevin Durant, James Harden, who can't shoot until 3 games ago, and Devin Booker, who's the leader of that team, owns that team, is one of the greatest young superstars right now in the league, you put that trio together, they will never win. It will literally be what it will honestly be is it'll be a Brooklyn just without as many head cases. That's what it'll be. It'll be 3 guys. You know, the thing about it is, right, KD and D-Book, I think, work better together with nobody else around them. What I would like to do is to strip everyone away except KD and D-Book and just put facilitators around them, because they can both score without bringing the ball up the court. They can both give you 35 a night and 9 assists without one of them either bringing the ball up the court through one full half. But you bring another guy in who's ball-centric, that possibly takes those looks away from them that they might have if they're open in a corner, right? Or if they end up bringing the ball up, right? That another guy's got. That's not going to happen.
James Harden is not that guy. He doesn't take shots away from anybody now.
He does if he's bringing the ball up the court.
Yeah, he brings it up and then he dishes it.
But my point, what I'm making is, I don't want him touching the ball at all.
Do you want those two just touching the ball the whole time?
I want those two just touching the ball and having facilitators around them the whole time.
Like James Harden's biggest strength was getting to the lane, almost going for a layup, and then just throwing it out. But then the Sixers had nobody to be able to make those open shots because the shots were open. Right. It's just nobody can make them.
Right.
But he should have fucking shot it. Dunk it. Do something, James.
But Harden and Devin they're not Klay Thompson. They're not, I'm going to the corner, dish it, and I'm putting it up. They are playmakers. They are off script, off ball, and with ball, creating a dynamic on the court that they can only do when it's a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, not when they're spotting up at the top of the arc or in the corner. And that's what Harden does, right? A guy who does that better than Harden is Chris Paul. That's why Chris Paul worked so well with D-Book, because he wasn't just a guy that would drive and then dish it out. He would do that. I won't say that, but Chris Paul would also create plays on his own and take shots on his own. This past season, not many of those shots fell. Still took them. My point being is, I don't want that guy on my team because I don't need him taking time away or taking looks away from 2 guys that are significantly better than him. Do you not disagree with that? Like, what value does he add that Chris Paul doesn't? That's the real question.
I think James Harden can get you the 40 points where Chris Paul can't at this point in his career.
You really think that?
And 100%. We saw it. We saw it this postseason.
But he can't do that in the regular. And the Suns
because James Harden doesn't have to. James Harden didn't have to because he had the MVP on his team. You know, like,
I guess, man, I don't think that there's a value added in bringing a guy who's made his career around touching the ball, and now he's transitioned to driving and dishing out.
See, James Harden, he's gotten so good at that 2-man game. Him and KD, that they never really got into it because they only played like 13 games total together in Brooklyn with all 3, him and Kyrie, right? Where he's so good at that 2-man, but he just gets so sloppy with his passes.
He gets very sloppy, dude.
He knows that he can make it, and he just fucking chucks it. But then Joel's not that coordinator. Like, you got to give him a good pass. And the 2-man game between him and KD would be electric because the 2 guys can absolutely get buckets for each other, if not set up one another. But yeah, I don't want him. I mean, I don't want James Harden leaving to go to Phoenix, but that's been the big talk. as of right now. I think James ends up staying in Philadelphia, if I'm going to be real honest with you.
Yeah, and I agree. I think he's staying in Philly as well. I think that him and Joel work really well together. I think Joel is the type of guy that Harden likes to be around. He gets him to buy in, and I think that this is the first time that Joel's had somebody that's gotten close to buying in as far as him, who's a superstar technically in name, brand recognition, and somewhat of talent of his level. So he's like, why would I'm going to do everything in my power to keep him in here. Right? Yeah. Like Joel has not had another guy like that outside of Jimmy Butler. It just didn't work at the time.
It worked. It worked. It's the coaching and everything else around them that was the reason Jimmy Butler left. That's why.
He hated Ben, right?
What?
He hated
Jimmy
Ben.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler knew how to spot a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see Ben Simmons posting his little wine and his bottle with the Celtics Sixers game 7 up there. Guess what, motherfucker? You got swept and you were sitting at home watching the same exact thing. And people are ESPN's putting up, oh, Ben Simmons taking shots. Ben Simmons is fucking sitting on his couch. Who cares what he says?
Exactly.
And ESPN's giving him
truest.
Like that's what I hate about these organizations. Like they think it's a shot. Like, no, you losers. You guys are losers. Don't you see the guy is sitting on his couch? A professional NBA player is sitting on his couch trying to take a shot. But guess what? Where is he? On his couch.
On his
couch.
Where
he's been for 3 years.
All right, let's wrangle this a little bit. We got a little bit off task. We went down some different subholes. Let's go back to the Eastern Conference. Let's wrap it so we can hit the West. What do we think about this series? Miami is leading 1-0. I think that regardless to say, I do believe that Miami wins the series, but they cannot close it in 5. And they cannot, and it would be hard to close it in 6. I think that Boston obviously does have the talent to go toe-to-toe with any team. The question is, can Boston get that fire under them to close Miami early? That's the only way that I think that Boston wins. Like, they got to go on a roll. And I don't see that happening. But I do see them being able to prolong the pain. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that those points make I think that that's very logical to say that Miami can't close it early, but they can close it late. And if Boston's going to win, they have to close it early.
I see it the other way around.
Okay,
I think if the Miami wins this, they're gonna get it in 5 or 6 because Jimmy Butler gets you 2 or 3 big games where he goes off and he wins it for you, and then they scratch out another one. But if this goes 7, you just saw it. Jason Tatum can't go ice cold for forever. Jaylen Brown can't go ice cold for forever. These two guys, if this prolongs out and it goes 6, 7 games, they're going to score 40 plus a night. And the Heat don't have the firepower to stay with both of them for a 7-game series where the talent is just going to win out when it comes to the Celtics point. If this goes 6, 7 games where they don't have the heart now to respond if they go down 0-2, losing both games in Boston. Miami goes and takes both. Maybe they get a game 3 win, the Celtics do, and then Miami takes it 3-1. Then they're going to be on the ropes. They're not going to know how to respond going back to Boston.
Sure.
So that's the only way I really see the Heat winning is getting up early and trying to crush their souls. Because the more you prolong it and you let the Celtics, they're going to trust themselves,
right?
Just player-wise, that Tatum's good for 40 tonight.
Okay.
Even if he goes ice cold for 3 quarters, he'll drop 20 in the 4th.
Right.
Because they've seen it. They just saw it. They played a way better team, and they were able to get over that hump where they were terrible for 5 games of that series.
Sure.
And they were still able to win. So I think their confidence grows the more they stretch the series out, where Miami, if they're going to win, they just got to kill it. They got to bite the head off and just get it over with.
See, it's so interesting that I understand what you're saying, but I still completely disagree. And the reason why I'm going to say that is this is one point that I'm going to hang on. The reason why Philly lost that series is not because of the talent difference, and it's not because Tatum got hot. It's because your guys, at the end of the day, gave up on plays defensively. But Miami doesn't do that. We have not seen Miami do that yet. So Miami, I do believe, can hang on And even if it's going long, and even if they're game 5, Tatum goes off and they don't have a response for him, in game 6, they'll adjust.
Yeah.
They have this defensive endurance, dude, that Boston hasn't faced yet. And we've already seen against teams that don't have great defensive endurance, just have average defensive endurance, they get weak at times. So to go against a team that doesn't give up in that area, I think that's going to be really hard for them to overcome.
Talent wins. Talent wins over heart in that situation, dude.
But their talent is spotty. They're not consistent.
Nah, but they are. They are. Jason Tatum, every time his back's been against the wall, the guy is answered. He has. Last playoffs against the Bucks, this playoffs against the Sixers, when their backs were against the wall, they needed something. Jason Tatum went out and dropped 30. He dropped 50. Like, that's the way that happens. Jimmy Butler can go and give you the rah-rah all you want. Kevin Love can give you the rah-rah with the ginger spice and everything nice all you want.
I like that.
Jason Tatum, he's going to put up 50 points on you. And that's what wins in the NBA. And they have the depth on Brogdon and Smart and these other guys.
They do.
That the talent's going to win out over this Miami Heat team. It should, at least. But if it goes long, the Celtics should win it.
Well, here's the last point I'm going to leave it on to close that out. I'm going to say this, and this is no disrespect. This is just being honest. I think it's that they know they know the dogs that they played with. They know those dogs well that they played against, and they know how to beat them. And I don't know right now if they know how to beat this Miami team, because I don't know if people know how to beat this Lakers team. They're
not good. These two teams are not good. The Lakers are an 8 seed for a reason.
100%.
And the Celtics were not that good.
Yes.
And that's what makes it so frustrating.
They're catching that fire. They're catching that fire. All right, dude. Why don't we hit a quick break? We'll come back, talk some Western Conference, because we only got 4 on this one. Yeah. Back. We're talking Western Conference Finals.
Well, before we get into the Western Conference Finals, we always got to shout out the boys from Philly Drinkers. Shout out the shirt.
R.I.P.
For the love of Philly. A great shirt.
Shout out Philly Drinkers.
Gotta go cop it. Wait. I'm not done yet. I got it here.
You go.
Let us know in the comments section below. Is this shirt actually going to be wearable by next year? That's my biggest question. Is Joel, is Tyrese Maxey, are they going to be on the team? Let me know in the comments section below.
That was good. That was good. And go to Philly Drinkers, buy the shirt. We're happy
promo code Brendan Petrilli at checkout, 10% off. All right. We love you at Philly Drinkers.
We love them. We love Philly Drinkers. They're the voice. Hey, it's summertime. You know what that means? It's golf time. We're waiting for them to send us the golf gear. Get their golf gear. Go out on the course. Shoot 100. Tell people you broke 80. It doesn't matter. As long as you're rocking the Philly Drinkers cap, you're drinking an on-alc, you're drinking an alc, and you're on that golf cart, and it says Philly Drink, you can crash that fucking thing into a nice red oak, and it doesn't matter. Now back to the show. Western Conference Finals. Let's talk about it, dude. We're in game 2 right now. Lakers are leading at the half. 53-48 at half right now in Denver. Let's break down this series, dude. Let's break down how both of these teams got there, right? 2 very non-flashy teams, though Denver did, they led the Western Conference pretty much, through the halfway through the season until the playoffs. They've been the number 1 seed. They are the number 1 seed. They're in the Western Conference Championship, but they're not a flashy team, right? And then a team like the Lakers, who we were just talking about in the last segment, right? An 8 seed, not that good, has come completely alive. They last week we talked about, they completely flipped over their roster, right? They brought in all new
Hachimura,
squad.
He's got 17.
I know.
Like, he's the only reason that they're not dominating, but pulling ahead in this game.
Pretty well though. AD's playing pretty well.
He's got 7, 5, and 3. 2 personal fouls. LeBron's got 10, 5, and 6. So, I mean, the three big guys for them right now are really stepping up. D. Russ has got 6. Reeves has got 9. I mean, it's a well-rounded team at this point where they're not banking on just LeBron. Yeah. But they need AD. The Lakers go as Anthony Davis goes.
That's right. Like, they need AD to win. AD's got to play the best for them to win. That's fact. So let's break it down though, dude. Right now, who do we see? Well, let's just say this. Before we say who's going to win, how long does this series go for? I think it's 6. Yeah.
6 games.
Yeah, it's 6.
I think it's the Nuggets in 6.
I think it's the Lakers in 6. All right. Right now, we're doing a wager on it. It's game 2. 15.
1,000? All right.
15,000. No. 15 and loser. $15 and loser.
Minimum wage.
The minimum wage bet by Cold Ones Conversations. The minimum. Oh, now that's a hat. That goes on the back of that. The minimum wage and the number 15 on the front. Okay, we're doing a minimum wage. Loser has to take a shirt.
That's how much the hat goes for, too.
That's how much the hat goes for, plus tax and shipping.
Yeah, shipping.
So it's like 18,
an hour and a half of work.
Yeah, it's like $18.49. Loser has to take a shirtless photo saying, I love the other person and that team.
Yeah, all right, no. I'll just put I heart LeBron, you put I heart Jokic.
Okay, done.
Done.
And then we tag each other.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, bet set. All right, let's break down this game. Tell me why you think Denver.
Let us know who do you think is going to win this bet.
Please.
By the way.
And repost it. Go. Why do you think Denver though, dude? Seriously, like I just think Jokic has been able to dominate Anthony Davis. Honestly, bro, like the guy just gets absolute buckets. I've been on the hating train of Jokic for the past couple of years because I wanted Joel Embiid to get that MVP, right? Nowadays you got to drag somebody down to lift somebody up. So I've been hating on Jokic. I've been saying he sucks. He's not as good as this. Can't play defense. He kind of lags. He's ugly, blah, 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 all this other stuff. But now
I realize my guy, he got the MVP. He choked again. I'm trying to open my horizons, get rid of the monkeys, and try to let open my heart, as some would say, right? And watching his game, the guy he's a baller. It's nothing pretty about it. He just gets buckets. He gives buckets up. He gives open shots for everybody. Somehow he gets the ball at the top of the 3-point arc, takes one dribble, and he's got an easy layup. Like, it's kind of crazy because when it comes down to it, I don't think him or Anthony Davis can really guard each other because neither of them really play defense on big men, at least. They can both kind of play guards coming on that weak side help, but they can't guard big men. And you saw that in game 1 where both of them put up, 35 plus. So in this game, it's kind of on pace for that almost a little bit again, where Jokic is just ripping up the score sheet. I think they got a deeper bench, a more experienced bench than the Lakers do, where they've been playing together as a team for the past, 3+ years now, that they're looking to finally get over that hump and get into that finals appearance here. And I think they're going to do it because I don't think the Lakers are that good.
No, I mean, they're not. That's the thing. Let's make one thing clear. The Lakers are playing with a bum LeBron in the sense of LeBron's my favorite athlete of all time, in the sense of the majority of his career, consistently inconsistent Anthony Davis health-wise and contributor-wise. And basically some guys that they just threw together with basically 25 games, less than 25 games left in the regular season. It's a very odd team, but they've hit luck very well. And the reason why they've hit luck very well is because of one specific reason. The thing that they have that completely and utterly outweighs only in one sector what Denver has is experience. They have so many guys with playoff experience on that team. Look at D'Angelo on the Lakers.
On the Lakers?
I mean,
who?
Take out
other than LeBron and Anthony Davis, who's got a playoff experience?
Look at D'Angelo, dude. Look at D'Angelo with his time with the Timberwolves. He's a dude.
He didn't get out of the first round with the Timberwolves. But what are we talking about?
But he still had a level.
The Nuggets have had the same team for the past 4 years. They've made it to the second plus round every year.
But every time that they go, dude, they never progress. This is the first time that they're progressing.
And now, yes, and you build and then you roll. You finally get over that hump. This is what the Sixers were trying to do, and they shit the fucking bed.
And history repeats. And so this team's going to shit the fucking bed. And so where I'm going with this is LeBron's experience by himself.
That's the only thing they got is LeBron James.
But that one player's experience makes up for all 17 other guys because he's a floor general at all times, on and off the court. He's the master head coach. He would be the greatest head coach of all time if he was a coach. He Popovich and the guy and the Bulls coach. If they came together and had a fucking kid, and that would be LeBron as a coach, and Steve Kerr. All three of them got together, had a three-way, and made LeBron as a head coach. There's nobody that can explain the game of basketball better to teammates than LeBron James. And so for that, they're in a position that they can overcome them mentally. I agree, though, with you with the point that you made earlier in the Eastern Conference. Talent wins. Talent wins all. And that's probably what you're about to say to me, that you don't agree with my point, but the talent wins all. And I don't deny that.
No, if anything, if I was saying that, I would say the talent of Anthony Davis and LeBron James would win this. Now I'm hitting the flip side of it, where you got the talent of Jokic and Jamal Murray and Porter and the other guys on this team that have all been together now. Caldwell Pope has been an absolutely great addition to this squad. This team is just ready to go. I think Jokic is finally going to get over that hump now, where he's been such a great facilitator, where they were on. They pulled away early in that game, but the Lakers came back in game one. But the way they can just shoot it, and if they can hit it for another 2 games like that, and then Jokic is going to get you a 50 piece in one of these games, they're taking this in 6.
They're definitely not
wearing that body paint.
They're definitely not taking it in 6. What I think's happening is the Lakers are taking it in 6 for one specific reason. When they go to LA, they're going to dominate. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Let me put a caveat on it. If Jokic can contain AD looking to clean up in the paint, Lakers are done. Lakers could be done in 5 if AD can't clean up downtown, and that's the fact.
Yeah. I don't think Jokic can do it though, honestly.
And I agree with, and that's what I was about to say. I don't think that Jokic can do it. I think that AD is too versatile when he comes prepared and healthy.
He can get hurt and he can do it to himself. He just gets out of the game.
Yes.
He does it to himself. He gets lost in games because of himself. All the time. Yeah. He forgets
10,000%.
He forgets he can be the most dominant player and an MVP caliber player. But
absolutely,
he hinders himself sometimes. You're like, what are you doing, dude?
He totally does.
He gets lost.
He gets lost. He takes risks that don't look like risks, but they are because of his body type. And then he hurts his ankles, and he's laying on the floor
and then
too much.
He doesn't feel his arm for a minute, and it looks like it's gonna fall off.
Exactly.
And then he's back in 4 minutes later, crazy. And he's just crazy. I couldn't feel my arm.
It's crazy. It's so stupid. The point being is, where I'm going with this is the reason why I'm betting on the Lakers, man, is because what I do believe is this luck that's hitting this team, I think is just going to overcome. I think the way that they're going to be able to prepare, I'm going to put it this way. Each game that they win, and they're going to squeak out. They're not going to be 10-point wins. They're not going to be 15 or 20-point wins. They're going to squeak out with 6, 5, a 3-point buzzer beater, right? But with that, a win is still a win. And I think the reason why that comes out is because the Lakers have this great defensive structure with LeBron on the floor, who's going to pick his spots throughout this whole Western Conference final. Because here's what I will say, is that if I'm right and Miami wins, these games are going to be harder to play than the championship will be. Because Miami is definitely not as good as Denver. Boston obviously is. That would be totally different. But this is me assuming that Miami wins. My point is that LeBron is not going to pick quarters. He's not going to pick his moments. He's going to give it his all for every single game that they have here. He's going to give it his all. And when LeBron gives it his all, the thing is that no, he isn't the greatest player in the world anymore, but he's still just as good as anybody else that's left on that court. That's what's crazy about him. When LeBron chooses to still be dominant, no, he's not the LeBron of 2018, 2017, 2015, but he is still as good as anyone else on that court. KD's not better than him right now. Devin Booker is not better than him right now. Jokic is not better than him right now. The only guy who's arguably better than him, there's really only three guys that have been consistently better than LeBron right now. Anthony Davis, Jokic, and Jason Tatum when he's being consistent. And two of those guys can't be, which is AD and Jason Tatum. Jokic is consistent.
Yeah.
So my whole thing with that is if LeBron can be as good as any other player on the court, and AD can bring his all, and D'Angelo can have his moments, and Reeves can have his moments, and then everybody else can pick up the slack, that's the team that I see advancing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree. I think it's going to go 6 games. It's going to be a very back and forth battle here. It might even go 7, honestly. But when it comes down to it, for me, where I'm just kind of stuck on is I think Jokic he's bound to get over that hump. Now, does it worry me a little bit that they don't really have that guy to make that clutch shot at the end of the game? A little bit. I think Jamal Murray has been able to evolve, bounce back from some injuries, and finally healthy, and is an elite player that he's going to have to be that guy, because you saw with the Sixers, right, where you need another guy, a James Harden or a guard, to make those shots. The big men aren't making those shots. Now, can Jokic break that mold and do it? I think so. I think his game is way different than an Embiid is, right? He's not as physical. He's more touch-based. He's more passive-based, and he's got a little better of a shot. Like off balance wise, right? Where he's not as clunky as other big men, right? So I just think that at the end of the day, his talent level is just going to propel over this Lakers team that has came together so on short notice now, has been and has developed well. I just think they're too short and not enough at this time, because they don't have enough depth when it comes down to it. I don't think you've gotten a couple guys in Reeves, and D'Angelo and Hachimura, right? But after that, it's kind of meh. You know, is Thompson gonna come in and play a couple hard minutes for you? Like, who off that bench is gonna come in and play some extra minutes? I really don't see anybody. It's gonna have to be LeBron. And obviously, I'm not gonna bet against LeBron if he's gonna do it, but I'm not betting against LeBron. I'm betting against Anthony Davis. I'm betting against Austin Reeves, D'Lo, and the other guys, because I don't think LeBron's really got it in his bag anymore to go out for 40 plus.
No, he doesn't.
So it's going to be an interesting series.
He has the ability to go. Yeah. It's going to be a great series. I really do believe that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun because, again, it's very different. It's very dynamic. It's two teams that it's very, like, the way that I would say it is, it's very 2011-esque basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very 2012-esque basketball when Miami won their first chip with LeBron, right? Where the three ball is going to be played, but the dominance is the inside game. The dominance is who are you kicking into on the inside, and the point guards are running forward, taking those hard fouls and making an and one. It's very 2012-esque basketball. That's a great way to put it, I think.
Yeah. So let us know below here. I'm gonna clip this right now. Do you agree with me? Do you think Nikola Jokic is gonna finally get into that finals appearance, or do you think LeBron's getting back to another one?
Yeah.
Maybe cement himself as the GOAT. All right, because when it comes down to it, the winner of this that we think is going to be in 6 games, I'm going to be painting my chest I heart LeBron if the Lakers win it, because I'm picking the Nuggets, or Harry's going to be painting I heart Nikola Jokic on his chest. I heart the Joker if the Nuggets win it. So let us know below who's going to be right. Are you Team Harry? Or are you Team Trilly? All right, let us know below. And moving forward, Harry, I think now we got to finish up the show with a little heartfelt and pain and agony, and wrap it up and just what the people have been waiting for, honestly. All those sick fucks out there.
Yep.
That they've been waiting. They're like, okay, yeah. Talk about your team. They love it when I'm wrong. They love it when our teams lose. And
they do.
It's just brutal, man. Because, I said it the other day, like on BSB podcast, like, or even I might have said it on here too. The Celtics were so close to being the Sixers. Jaylen Brown, he wants out. He probably still going to want out after this year, but that whole team could have been blown up. We would have been fine. We would have been on our way to a championship. We would have dominated that ass at home on last night, unlike that bum-ass team up in New England. Like, they would have took care of business against Jimmy Butler, and we would have been on our way to an NBA championship. But sadly, it just sucks because
it didn't work out. Right.
Yeah, it didn't work out for a lot of reasons, right? And Doc Rivers gets fired. Now I've a lot of people, asking, what do you think about the firing? Doc wasn't the reason for this playoff failure. He wasn't.
Correct.
But he was the reason for many failures throughout the past 3 years of his tenure as a Sixers head coach.
Correct.
He has had so many flaws that he probably should have been fired a year and a half ago. But they waited it out. They let it see it develop, and it came together, and they were able to make things work. But at the end of the day, his players quit on him. And as a head coach, you can't come back from that.
Can't come back.
You can't go and look at them in the eyes next year and be like, I demand more from you. No, they already said, fuck you, dude. As much as Joel Embiid is supposedly hated the move of the firing, no, dude, you already quit on him. You fired him with your actions in game 6 and 7. Not Daryl Morey, not the fan base. You fired him with how you played. And when it comes down to it at the end of the day, they have to realize that. Now where it moves forward from there, is James Harden on the team? I don't know. I kind of hope so because I like Harden on this squad, and you just got to build the bench pieces around it. But I don't know, man. I hope Tyrese is still on the squad. I hope this Philly drinker shirt, I can still wear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to wear the Tyrese. I want to wear can you even see it? I don't even know with the background, but whatever.
You get the point. You can kind of.
Yeah, go check it out at phillydrinkers.com if you want to check out the shirt anyway. But no free shout outs, of course. But
of course. We don't play that game.
I hope Tyrese is on this team. He should be, because he's the guy to build around at this point. People want to trade Embiid. It just stinks because I gotta trust the process fucking thing right up here with Embiid's face in the middle of it. A poster. I've had that thing from the beginning. I got it from Etsy. Right. I was all in. I was doing 2K simulations, trying to get the right draft picks, trying to build the team, building with the Jakar Sampsons, the Isaiah Cannonballs, Arnett Moultries, and the likes of guys that just didn't deserve to be in the NBA, to be like, trust it, Sam Hinkie, right? And then you get the point where you just miss on so many different draft picks. You pick a Jahlil Okafor, a Nerlens Noel. You trade Drew Holiday away. That was the start of the process. You get a guy in Embiid, but he sits for a year and a half, right? And then he finally comes into his own, and it's just, you get a Ben Simmons who you hope, and you see the talent, who just becomes an absolute loser. A loser. He was a loser from the beginning. I just didn't see it. And it just sucks to put 10 years, a decade of your life just hoping and waiting for something special to happen, to have a quadruple doink in a game 7 against the Toronto Raptors just rip your heart out, to have you get swept in a bubble against the Celtics and never be able to get over the hill there, to sign a Jimmy Butler, go on a run, to then let him go and bring in Tobias Harris and Al Horford, just for Al Horford to absolutely be dog water and leave and go back to the Boston Celtics and take you in game 7, who didn't do jack in the rest of the series. But just to see that, it hurts, man. It's just, it hurts more than, honestly, the Super Bowl loss in my mind, just because this was over a 10-year period, where the NFL is such a fast-paced flip. Everything can happen every other year. The NBA, this was building. I'm being sold on Embiid. I'm being sold on James Harden's finally the guy now. Being sold on Ben Simmons, on Markelle Fultz, on all these guys. And just for when it was time for Embiid and Harden to be the guys to step up. They just weren't it. And it stinks and it hurts. And they quit. And they really quit. It was embarrassing. I didn't even watch the second half of the game, if I'm being real with you. It was Mother's Day. I was hanging out with the family. We were all watching over at my aunt's house, but we just went out back. We were throwing the ball around with my little cousins. We had 5 little puppies. We were playing fetch, eating steak. Like, it was a good time, other than the Sixers just absolutely sucking. And yeah, it's the end of the process, man. It's the end. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that was fucking emotional. I mean,
I haven't said anything about it since the loss.
Oh, you can't. You can't. I think that, I'm not going to speak for Philly. I'm not going to speak on the dead. I'm a connected man, and I don't want to get whacked. So I think that kind of where we end this is, ladies and gentlemen, you got to vote who you think is going to win this bet.
Give me a little bit. What you think?
What I think is, dude, is that
where do they go next?
Where they go next is
Tobias is on last year, right, of his contract. Can you move that? Is he worth anything?
Yes.
Do you move Tyrese Maxey? I don't want to, but you might have to be able to get value because you don't have any draft picks because you traded them for James Harden, right? Harden opts out of his deal now. He's looking for a 4-year deal. I don't think you should give him a 4-year deal because he doesn't have that in his legs anymore. He's got 2 max.
He's got 2 max. Right.
So
totally agreed. Totally. If that, and that's even pushing it.
PJ Tucker's here for another 2, getting paid $15 million a year, which I'm okay with because he proved that the offseason, regular season doesn't matter. He was going to give it to you in the postseason, and he did. He scored 11 points in Game 7 in the first half, didn't score any in the second. But nobody scored in the second half, so can't hold that against him. What do you think? Where do the Sixers move from here?
Dude, where I think it comes down to, I remember year after year when you and I were in school, I would tell you, dude, Philly's got to change. Philly's got to change. Philly's got to change. And you'd say, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. We're trusting the process. We're getting better. We're getting better. We're getting better. I think you've reached a breaking point. If you can keep Harden, okay.
Do you move on from Embiid? I mean,
I'm going to summarize
boat before.
No, I'm going to summarize this. You will not be able to obtain another talent like Embiid. You do not let him go.
That's what I'm saying.
You do not let him go. You let everything go before you let Embiid go. Embiid needs to live and die as a 76er, just like Devin Booker needs to live and die as a Sun. He will never leave the Suns. He'll be paid his whole life. That's the same thing for Embiid. The difference is that what I think needs to happen is that Philly needs to say this. Either we are going to completely rebuild, or we are going to try to make something viable through what we currently have. Both of those go hand in hand. I'm going to explain it real quick. If you're going to go with a viable option, you've got to get rid of everything besides Embiid and Harden, and you pay Harden, you overpay him, and you get facilitating players, because we're seeing right now that facilitating players can help you get to a conference championship. Miami and Lakers are the 2 examples. 2 teams that only have facilitating players have made it to their conference championships. You keep those 2 guys, hopefully you can get over the hump. I think
you're getting rid of Maxey?
I think you have to. You can't keep, if you're going to keep, if you told me right now, who are you keeping, Maxey or Harden? I'm keeping Harden, because at the end of the day, even if I got to give him 4, those 2 that I got him, I know he's going to make a bigger difference than Maxey will, partnered with Embiid. And you and I both know I'm right when I say that. So I think you do that.
That's been the biggest question.
Yeah. And that's what I believe. So I think you do that, or you have to cut everyone but Embiid. And you see where the chips fall. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Because you've been trying to add to the salad, and nothing is tasting right. Year after year, nothing's tasting right, except the regular season. Those first bites with that dressing on, delicious, phenomenal. But when you get to those last few tomatoes and onions, it's disgusting. You can't get through it. And that's what the playoffs are, right? Maybe that changes. Maybe that changes if you get rid of everybody. I can't say that you guys couldn't be a Miami with just having facilitators around Embiid. But I think that that's the key, is either it's keeping Embiid and Harden and you're overpaying for Harden, and then you're just getting bench players that have to work around them. Or you're going Embiid and nobody else. Because otherwise you're going to, yeah, go.
No, I'm seeing people throw out Kyrie out there with Embiid.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, God.
I'm seeing
Dame Lillard. You want to talk about having Ajita.
Dame Lillard has been a fan favorite for the past, I don't know, 2+ years now.
He's never leaving.
But he's been going at people on Twitter lately. People have been calling for him because they want they got the high draft pick. So they're saying, why trade that second or third overall pick and try to get an all-star, rather trade Lillard and build around the top 3 pick. And Lillard hasn't been too happy with that. And supposedly, and he was tweeting out over the playoffs that he likes the Sixers roster. I don't know. He said it.
That's dreaming, though.
I just don't know if he's an upgrade at this point in his career, right? Is he an upgrade over James Harden?
Oh, he is.
You think so?
Just legs-wise? Here's what I'm going to tell you.
He hasn't had the mileages put on him like Harden has.
Correct. He's also, dude, let's make one thing clear. Dame Lillard might be great, but Dame Lillard is not a cultural icon in the NBA the way that Harden was. Harden created a shot. He literally had a patented shot. The double step back leg with the leg kind of kicking out, like when you're trying to wake it up when it falls asleep on the bed.
And he doesn't get that call anymore, bro. He doesn't get it.
Well, they got rid of it because he was going to the line so much.
Yeah.
But the point being is that Dame is just a good player. But like you said, he didn't have that mileage. I'm going to tell you something right now. You put Dame Lillard and Embiid together and they can't make an Eastern Conference championship. It's not Dame.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I mean, what do you think? Out of my 2 options, which do you think the Sixers are more, not which the Sixers are more likely to go. The Sixers are definitely more likely to keep them both and try to build around. What do you think they honestly should do? Do they start from ground zero? Close us out. We got a minute. Do they start from ground zero with Embiid, or do they try one more time?
Nah, you give it another go. I think that's where it's going to be. You give it another go. It's going to be the same thing again. But you hope you can add another piece to give you hope. You hope you can add a coach that gives you a different heart. Did Doc deserve it? No, but yes. Because you saw, like, with the Phillies, right? Last year, you got rid of Joe Girardi, and they went on a World Series run. The team was just different, right? And people were calling for that the past year and a half with Doc, and it just never happened. And I got to know Doc a little bit, working with the Fanatic, and he seems like a decent guy, but it was time. Something needed to change. If you weren't getting rid of Embiid and Harden, it had to be him. We got to move on. You got to keep Maxey, I think, is the biggest thing. We build off of those 3. Maybe you get lucky with some buyouts that you've been wishing for. It's going to be interesting. Thanks, everybody, for listening, though. Really appreciate you.
Cold ones. We love you. Subscribe, repost, love us. $100 million